watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm the other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
Together we are RAW. How's every single one of you, family? It is time to talk about NXT UK, and like pretty good show. Kind of like the main stuff, like the main players were not there. Kind of like saw a little bit of promos, but despite that, what this show does all the time is just showcase new people. The main event is never just for the main event. The main event is just for everybody that has a feud going, something interesting to give us. And in this case, our main event is going to be, the guys from Gallus going against, the family from Teoman. So, I'm pretty decent, I would say, NXT UK, and they're trying to plant seeds for what's going to be next 2 weeks for.
Yeah, and I think we booked it correctly, with kind of pretty much everything we saw here on this show today. And, that's not to say it was a bad show, but again, when a show is predictable, it kind of takes you out of it. And the thing that kind of gave me a bad taste in my mouth, it was the past 2 weeks with this show. And I shouldn't even say a bad taste, but it's like, so just for me personally, is, a great opening match, but I don't like the winner. This one was a little bit more obvious of a winner than last week, if we get into it, but I guess before we get ahead of myself, talk about the first match, the one thing you guys should check out, if you want to throw up the thumbnail here, the AEW Dynamite review. We see Bryan Danielson, he confronts Hangman Adam Page on Cowboy Shit Day, and he turns heel. And he says he doesn't want no excuses from Hangman because he wasn't ready to fight him, and he's going to take out a member of the Dark Order. He started with Evil Uno. We're going to see, who is it?
We're going to see Cole Cabana.
Cole Cabana, thank you. Yeah, Cole Cabana, in Chicago. So, that's going to be good. And, Kenny Omega's taking some time off. So, this is going to be great for the main event, and, we're looking forward to it. MJF cuts a good promo, Sammy Guevara.
CM Punk, they're seeing CM Punk. So,
Sammy Guevara, Jay Lethal. Yeah, so good stuff.
Watch everything.
Yeah, check out the review.
Let us know what you guys feel. AEW Dynamite the show is getting better and better. At least overall. We're not saying that every single segment is to die for. It's a must-watch thing. No. But at least the overall experience is really good. So thank you so very much for being with us one more time. Don't forget to keep checking this out. And like you said, Paul, NXT UK opens up with the A-Kid going against GRADWELL, Sam GRADWELL, and they had a pretty good match. Fortunately, like you said, the A-Kid throughout the whole match, he tried to lock that submission hold, playing with Sam GRADWELL. And, in the end, he's able to do so, and Sam GRADWELL has to tap out. And unfortunately, he's one more time the loser in a match, and the A-Kid at least stays hot after the match that he had with ALEAH Dragunov for the NXT UK Championship. Like you said, maybe it was better for GRADWELL to get the win here because he needs, more wins rather than his record is, I think, in the negative just because of this situation.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this match. It wasn't as bad as Frazier and Mark Andrews, because that was okay, that was pretty even. Each guy, whatever, they both could have used a win. This is A-Kid has been featured so much, and I figured he was gonna win, but I'm okay, if he beats Sam GRADWELL right here, then there's no feud. It's okay, I beat you, done, moving on to something else. What is he gonna go after Noam Dar? What's going on here? Which is probably what they're gonna do. But I didn't like this, and as I'm watching the match, and GRADWELL to me dominated, I would say 80% of this match.
Yes.
I'm like, you know what? Maybe they're gonna do a mini feud here. A couple matches. Give GRADWELL this first win. Maybe if let him cheat, let him pull the turnbuckle pad off and slam A-Kid's head in it. Do something, kind of cheat a little bit, get a feud. Nope. A-Kid locks in the submission. Boom, and he taps out instantly. And I didn't like that. Especially having him tap out, but. They really push A-Kid because, A-Kid ate a big slam on the outside, and he instantly no-sold it, popped up, and, had a submission locked in and everything. And, it just, I don't know. To me, he has the look. He has the wrestling skill. But then if this is a video game and he has a skill of charisma, to me, it's a 0. There's just, I can't get behind. I don't care. It's I don't care. Yeah.
He's very flat. Maybe it's the language barrier. Maybe it's just the personality of the guy. But to me, it's when is he's able to put the hold on? GRADWELL tap out right away. And
because
said,
guys, you have guys that are great wrestlers. Like a Bret Hart, a Mr. Perfect, Shawn Michaels. You have people who are really great technical wrestlers, but they all had personality. You could all like these guys and be like, okay, but with him, it's he's always featured in the main event. He has a lot of talent, but I just don't care about him. That's the only thing. And,
Yeah, no, I agree
Gradwell
with
to
you.
me is such a good character. I'm like, maybe he'll get a feud out of this guy. Nope. Dropped out. Done.
I know, I agree. So like that's what we had, for the first match.
But it was
of the
a good.
night.
It was a good match though. Overall,
It
it was a
was,
good match.
but in the end, we said Naked is the hot baby face, so Sam Gradwell like also lost, and then he actually had like a stare down with Noam Dar and also Show Samuel, just because it's like you guys have celebrated it now because he's the new Heritage Cup champion. He's like, well,
So that's what I mean. Now, do you think because he just lost to A-Kid, now do you think A-Kid's going to go after Noam Dar? Heel champion, and it's like, how many times is A-Kid going to be going after gold? Like, can we see somebody else here?
Yeah, no, and maybe Gradwell should be the one. I mean, they kind of stare down. Maybe they do something, but still, it will be a little off, a little odd.
Yeah.
Why? Because like there's two heels going at it, but in the end, the loser is Gradwell, and then like they're celebrating right next to him. So we'll see what happens. Also, we got a good promo from by the Czar. Long. What is it like? Long hill to the Czar, something like that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, Dragunov. I mean, he cut a good promo, and he says, when they write the stories, nobody about the giant killer, nobody remembers the names of the giants. They just remember the name of the giant killer, and because that's his gimmick. He beat Walter, he beat the unbeatable, and who's Rampage Brown? Oh, he's somebody who couldn't beat Walter, so Dragunov, Rampage Brown. This should be a good match, and Rampage Brown, a guy who just turned heel, which I think that would benefit A-Kid. I think he's in dire need of a heel turn. Hopefully after he loses to Noam Dar, if that's where they're going. But this was good for Rampage Brown. I almost feel like this first match should be kind of like a fuck finish, a DQ, a count out or something. I want to see a second match from this. I don't want to see them just have, again, one match, Dragunov wins and moves on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just lame. I want to see some kind of program with this. So
it should be better if they do that, because again, you're like completely then bearing Rampage Brown, because he's
that's what I mean.
Because
it's all hot shot booking. It's all, you have a guy, boom, he's hot for 3 weeks, and then boom, he cools off, and then another guy's hot for, and then it's like, it's too much. It's
like you said, they need a program. They need a long booking when it comes to this one. But at least in 2 weeks, we're going to see this NXT UK Championship match. This should be a lot very interesting. So let's go with ALEAH James. This is kind of like the part of the show that is a little flat. But despite of that, you got to see the positive. You got to see like they try to push other girls. Eva Valkyrie is still, like Dawn is still injured. Also, like Jeannie just lost to Meiko Satomura. We didn't even hear from Meiko. We didn't hear from Minnie McKenzie. So it was about to like this feud with Nina Samuels. And in this one, a match that is 5-6 minutes, nothing of importance here. Just ALEAH James gets the win just because she does a roll up. And then, right away they had a backstage like segment. She's really happy. And then we get to see Isla Dawn, and then she attacks her, gets a little bit of the hair. And she's still playing with that storyline that she has. She's gimmick that she has at the expense now of ALEAH James. We'll see what happens, but it was just like they always need also a women's match. That's pretty much how like a WWE show is booked. Any wrestling show nowadays is just booked with like a women's match. So that's why they did it.
I mean, hey, it is what it is. I mean, this gives me time. If it's not women, I'm not too interested in. This gives me time to go, make a cup of coffee, take a shit, do whatever. So, I mean, it was what it was. I mean, I like ALEAH James. I think she has kind of a future, but, to me, that's only when there's a heel champion. I don't want to see her versus Meiko Satomura. I have no interest in that.
Yeah, exactly. It will not be good either. So,
but hopefully it's her versus Isla Dawn. But then Isla Dawn, I think, needs to go over.
Isla Dawn will have to get the win. Yeah. She needs, she has more ceiling than anybody else, right now. Yeah. Because again, Jeannie also, like for everybody that doesn't know, she's dating Walter. She's, like she's actually, it's not, it's not Joseph Connors, it's actually Walter. That's her boyfriend. So, there you go. And that's why the reason that they said that Walter is more likely to move to the United States, because it will benefit her and will benefit him. They will be able to work maybe NXT or the main roster. So we'll see what happens with both of them. But now let's go with like the absolute loser, or the eternal loser. And that's our boy, Saxon Huxley. Unfortunately, he goes against Kenny Williams. And, in this match, the scum of the earth, he gets the win. He gets, the upper hand after, like, pretty decent match. Unfortunately, Saxon, like I said, they presented him so good. He had so much potential to be, like, a main event guy and everything. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. And, Paul, what do you think about this match?
Yeah, I like Saxon Huxley, but like, back when we saw him versus Walter, when NXT first, started up, I think it was their third weekend, something like that. It was like, okay, this guy looked pretty good. And then ever since then, it has just been downhill, downhill, downhill. This guy didn't win. Like they said, they saw him with Symbiosis and all this stuff. And, I'm like, okay, I thought he was going to have a match against just one of the guys from Symbiosis, just like a singles match. He was going to get a win or something. And then out comes Kenny Williams, and I'm like, well, Kenny Williams needs to get the win, but
yeah,
but I don't like this just for the sheer fact of realism. So on this show, we saw 2 matches where a little guy beat up a guy who's 50, 60 pounds heavier than he is.
Yes.
And to me, that's unbelievable. That buries the big guy, especially when your champion calls himself the Giant Killer, and then you had 2 other small guys beat up big guys. So I guess they're giant killers too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I
don't like that. With giant killers, yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I don't like that. It was, but Kenny Williams needed the win. So like, if you're just going off character and who you're pushing, yeah, he should have got the win. But you're telling me you didn't have another job guy? You could have had Kenny Williams beat up. It had to be Saxon Huxley.
Yes, it's true.
So, I mean, that's my opinion. I mean,
that's the one thing the match was good, I guess, in the show.
To me, it was just more the booking and the more just if you're watching this show and you're like, well, what the hell? Dragunov really doesn't look that impressive now. You know?
Yeah, because Kenny Williams can be like a big guy, and like you said, the A Kid is also like doing the same thing. So he's they need to maybe Jean Paul is maybe nitpicking here, but he's making sense though, because if you really see from the ins and outs of the show or what it should be, it makes all the sense in the world. Like the big guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching the show and you're on your phone and you're not like actually listening to what people are saying and doing, then you go, oh, I don't see what the deal is. You know, they're gonna. Yeah, but if you're actually paying attention to everybody's gimmick and what they're saying and how things would actually work, if this was all real, because people watch this show and they're, it's fake, it's whatever. But if it would be real, you know, it kind of doesn't make sense.
Like you said, like 2 big guys lose to like small guys, so is but despite that, I mean, you said Kenny Williams is the heel here. Maybe Heritage Cup, maybe.
I mean, I would like to see him versus Dragunov because they're similar statures. I mean, he's a little skinnier, I would say, but I mean, it's going to be a good match though.
And a good gimmick also.
Yeah.
So let's move on to like Xia Brookside, just because like I guess the heel turn is right there, but it's not a full-fledged heel turn. She's just being a prick. She's just being a little bit more, obnoxious, something like that, and then she just gets late for like the training session. It's like, hold on, no, I train by myself. And also, like, everything's cool, like, I already call, I have a note and everything. So, like, Xia Brookside is, I think, she's starting, like, slowly to get to that heel turn that we finally wanted. But, I don't know, like, for the now, it's just, like, a little weird. So, we'll see when it ends.
I mean, I would say give her a heel turn, give her a win or 2, let her beat ALEAH James, get her win back. Maybe beat a Mel, beat another person. Let her have a match against Meiko Satomura before you do Blair Davenport. You know what I mean? If that's where your title switch is going to take place, let Xia Brookside get a match because I think she's deserved it. She's earned it. So, I mean, and she's another one too. Like I said, Rampage Brown, she benefits from a heel turn because the babyface was getting stale. So you had to do something to switch it up.
No, exactly. So I agree with you. So we'll see what happens. So now let's go with, like Mark Andrews, and he was actually
another interrupted promo.
Yep, that was what I was going to say, right away you would say the CDA is Jordan Devlin, and he says, dude, because he was talking about, Frazier, and he just goes to do is like, you got to use your promos just to like, talk about yourself, to showcase yourself. You're the selling point right here. And he's like, come on, like, when are you going to be legit? It's like, if you will drop off like this, like, I'm a nice guy, like stuff, and then you start like being more like selling yourself, you'll be better. So this is just like to have a match between these 2 next week. I don't like this. I'll tell you why. Jordan Devlin is in the way above Mark Andrews. Not saying quality, but like at least pushing level and accomplishment.
The only thing I'm going to say with this is I have faith in NXT UK because I understand why even, these people won these matches, even if I don't like it. I understand. I think Jordan Devlin, or I'm sure Jordan Devlin is going to win this match. Because then that's going to put the doubt in Mark Andrews. Because Mark Andrews is like, no, I'm going to do things my way. Jordan Devlin beats him and is like, oh, you should have listened to what I said. Maybe that puts some doubt in his head, Maybe because to me, subculture's stale. They're another one that's stale just as like the way they are. They need to switch it up, do something. I don't know, but, they're, and again, Devlin, he wins. That's perfect. Devlin versus Dragunov. That would be match.
You see, that's when you sell really Jordan Devlin, because he got the win over Joe Coffey and everything that he needs to get to that point. So maybe this is maybe the first the next step to be like, all right, I have a couple of wins. When's my shot? Either like it needs to be like for the NXT UK Championship. It needs to be for me, and we're gonna see that next week. Family, let's go to the main event, and that's the Gallus Boys. The first time that they're actually teaming up. Right after they lost the championship to Pretty Deadly, going against ROHAN, Raja, and Teoman, the family. A pretty good match, but of course, like, in this one, I gotta agree with you because, like, come on, Wolfgang and Coffee are huge in comparison to like Raja and Teoman. So, like, you saw like the advantage should have been for Gallus. You thought that they were gonna win, but we said that like for the storyline purposes, right here the family needed to win, and we already hinted that there was probably gonna be another member added to this family, which it turns out to be, Charlie Dempsey. The son from William Regal. He ended up interfering in the match. So what do you think overall about this whole sequence that we saw, this whole match, winners and the ending?
Yeah, I mean, the match itself, I didn't mind this one as much for like the big man, small man, even though, the family or Teoman's, family, whatever, him and Raja, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, they are a little smaller, but, they're still grown men. At least the other, A-Kid and Kenny Williams, they kind of look young. They look like boys, compared to the other guys. But no, I mean, the match was good. I thought the heels looked good. Obviously, Gallus, they're going to portray them good. And, we called it. We said, okay, Dempsey's got to join because you have 3 members of Gallus and you only have, 2 members of the family. And, Teoman, he even said, he's like, don't worry about it when asked about Joe Coffey. He's like, don't worry about it. I got, got it all covered. And I mean, this is what I want to see kind of from the main event feud with Dragunov and Rampage Brown. I don't want to see a clear finish. I want to see something, that's going to lead to a 6-man tag. Usually those are a mess, but I think this one's going to be pretty good. It's going to feature Dempsey a lot, I think, because he looks strong in this, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you thought. I mean, he was taking out Joe Coffey and everything. I mean, this was great. And, I'm really excited to see him. I want to see him and Dragunov down the line. If not Teoman and him, but, they even said, oh my God, these guys beat Gallus. This is crazy. I think they're the ones who got to be pretty deadly. I mean,
it's a strong statement. It's a strong statement.
Like how cool would that be? Yeah.
I think they add another member in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is good. I like this. And like we said, when you do stuff like this and you're like, okay, even though that we saw this coming, this was still good. I liked it. And, it's not, always the same people. We don't need to see Mako Satomura or Dragunov in the main event. No, we can see other people in the main event, and it's good. It keeps the show feeling fresh. That's why we like
and that at least is something that they know how to do. Like, at least give the opportunity to everybody in the roster
and the one thing
that closing match.
And I want to ask you this, the one thing, because we see so much change, in WWE booking. Do you think this show is safe because it's network exclusive and Vince doesn't get any TV rights or anything?
No, I don't think it's safe. I think that if it comes to the point that like they need to chop it up, they will. There will not be exceptions. Nobody's safe.
Oh no, I meant like the booking. Like he's not worried. Like, let me take control of the booking.
No, in that particular aspect, booking though is safe because, like you said, only not a casual fan is exposed to this.
Yeah, he's only worried about stuff that has TV ratings.
Exactly, and then also TV deals.
Yeah.
Sponsors. All of that is way different than, for example,
because really I'm pretty sure the only commercials we see during NXT UK, they're just for like the network stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the network. The network owns the show. So maybe Peacock. When you watch it through Peacock, you see like maybe 2 sets of commercials. There is like 2 minutes or something like that. But no, the booking is completely safe because again, it's not casual fans' product. It's more like fans that like love WWE.
So that's why.
And exactly, that's why it stays good, and that's why we do this, because again, it's not just for everybody. It's just for people that really appreciate professional wrestling, appreciate booking, appreciate good storytelling, and all of that. So thank you, family, so very much for being with us one more time. We appreciate you. We love you. We will be ready for Survivor Series. Don't forget, it's going to be an show because it's not really like, why we think of Survivor Series through the years. But despite that, Jean Paul, myself will be right here, ready to give you all the analysis, all the gossip that we hear, all the fallout, that everything that happened with Roman Reigns and Big E, that's going to close the show. We'll see if they actually make it like SmackDown against Raw, meaning like they care about like who wins like the matches and stuff. It's going to be probably one of the worst Survivor Series ever, it's not going to be, what is not going to be bad is our review. So please just be here with us, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and where else can they find us?
Hey guys, make sure you follow us, Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok, and of course right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
And you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is... Underdog.